What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I'm going to do some Atlanta Falcons news and notes. And then we're going to talk about the question that everyone has. Will the Atlanta Falcons re-sign Pro Bowler Austin Hooper? With that being said, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you will know when I've done content. Also, follow your boy on Twitter. It'll be at JewTalkSports. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys who have subscribed to the channel and who continue to help grow the channel. I appreciate you guys. Now, let's jump right into the Atlanta Falcons news and notes. So you may have already seen it. I'm pretty sure if you follow the Falcons, you got the notification yesterday that we did re-sign our kicker, Younghoe Koo, to a one-year deal. And we also signed our punter, Ryan Allen, to a one-year deal. Both players played very well last year with the Atlanta Falcons filling in for the starters. As you know, the last 8 games, we did cut Matt Bryant at the during our bye week last year. Our longtime kicker, Matt Bryant. We brung in Younghoe Koo for the second half of the season, and he did very well, kicking PATs, kicking field goals, and also kicking onside kicks. He also recovered a fumble, for the Atlanta Falcons on a kickoff, in kickoff coverage. So I definitely like the signing of Younghoe Koo, signing him to that one-year deal. I also do like, I did like us re-signing the punter, Ryan Allen. He did an excellent job as well, filling in for Matt Bosher. He pinned a lot of teams deep in their own territory with his punts. He did an excellent job of punting when Matt Bosher was out. And I think it was just time to move on from Matt Bosher and Matt Bryant. Both of those players were getting up there in age, and both were starting to have injuries. So I do want to wish those guys happy trails, to Matt Bryant and Matt Bosher. And let's welcome back Younghoe Koo and Ryan Allen. I do like this signing by Thomas Dimitroff, and I do believe these players could be Falcons for years to come. If they have another year like they had last year, or they perform well like they did last year, I can see these guys being extended even longer than a year. But let's see what these guys do heading into the season. I think both guys are going to perform well again. But big ups to Thomas Dimitroff for going ahead and getting that done. Now let's jump right into the question of the day, or the question of the hour. Everybody's been talking about it. All the Atlanta Falcons fans, all of the Falcons content creators. Should the Atlanta Falcons re-sign Austin Hooper? Now, I've been jostling back and forth, and that's why I hadn't made a video directly toward re-signing Austin Hooper. I kind of wanted to let things play out a little bit, and I kind of wanted to sit back and think about things before I went out and just stated something or said something or made a video about, whether we should re-sign Austin Hooper or not. And I've come to the realization that the Falcons should re-sign Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper is a very important piece to this Atlanta Falcons team, to Matt Ryan. I talked about it previously that Austin Hooper is that security blanket for Matt Ryan in the middle of the field. And I feel like one of the most important things in the NFL, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is being able to control the middle of the field. And when you have a Pro Bowl caliber tight end, or a good tight end that knows how to sit down in zones, knows how to, get in open space, and also knows how to catch the ball in tight coverage. And I feel like Austin Hooper does all of those things. He's excellent at sitting down in the middle of a zone. He's definitely our third down chain mover, especially now that we've lost Mohamed Sanu, because we traded him last year. I feel like Mohamed Sanu and Austin Hooper has always been on third down. Those are the guys that Matt Ryan looks for on the money down, and mainly it's because Julio Jones normally is being double teamed or triple teamed at times, and Austin Hooper knows how to sit down in that vacant spot in the middle of the field, in that soft spot, and get those first downs. Now, I am a big fan of Austin Hooper. He has developed since he's been with the Atlanta Falcons since 2016. Him and Matt Ryan spent some off seasons together, working together and building that that chemistry. And I feel like I don't think it's time to break that chemistry up. Maybe if Matt Ryan was not still with the team and he was retiring or something like that, then possibly we could have possibly moved on from Austin Hooper. But I believe that Austin Hooper is a key piece and he can be an X factor for our team. I went back and watched some of the games from this year. And I had forgot all about the game against the 49ers when Austin Hooper made that touchdown catch that got reversed when they said it hit the ground. I went back and watched that 49ers game and that catch particularly where he made that nice catch. And one thing that I really noticed and I think kind of gets taken for granted with Austin Hooper is he knows how to catch the ball at his highest point. He does an excellent job of catching the ball away from his body. A lot of the times with tight ends, especially the tight ends that drop passes, they try to body catch a lot of passes. And one thing that I noticed about Austin Hooper with watching his tape, and if you go and look at the games from last year, Austin Hooper does a great job of extending his arms and catching the ball away from his body. It's rare that you see the ball slapped away from Austin Hooper. It's rare that you see Austin Hooper drop a pass. He rarely, 90 to 95% of the time, if the ball's thrown in his vicinity, he makes the catch. Another thing that I think people are taking for granted with an Austin Hooper is in the red zone. Tight ends are very, very important in the red zone because the field is very condensed at that point, and tight ends are able to play basketball and rebound against corners and linebackers. Usually they're much taller and bigger and can jump higher than most cornerbacks and most linebackers. And in the middle, them being in the middle of the field, usually they're the best target or the biggest target, and it's an easier target to throw to than to try to throw the ball on the outside when the field is so condensed. I haven't seen Julio Jones and Matt Ryan connect on a lot of fade routes in the red zone. It's really tough to get Julio Jones the ball once we get in the red zone. And Austin Hooper played a big role last year in catching the ball. I know against the Saints, he had a big touchdown catch. In the 49ers game, that catch that he had, that touchdown catch, should have counted and should have been the game-winning touchdown. So I definitely feel like Austin Hooper has a lot of value. He did go to the last 2 Pro Bowls. He's been a Pro Bowler 2 years in a row. He had over 70 catches last year and like 780 some yards catching with 6 touchdowns. And if you look at most of the teams that was in contention last year or the teams that are dominant in the league, most of those teams have Pro Bowl tight ends or all pro tight ends. If you think about the teams last year that made the playoffs, you have the Eagles they have 2 good tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. If you look at the Minnesota Vikings, Kyle Rudolph is their tight end. The only team in the NFC really that doesn't have a good tight end or a dominant tight end was the Seahawks. They had Jacob Hollister, and he still was making, had a lot of catches last year and was a good player for them last year. They just signed Greg Olsen on yesterday, and that's another player where he controls the middle of the field, and the Seahawks know how important it is to be able to control the middle of the field. If you think about the Saints, they have Jared Cook as their tight end. So most of the teams that are contending are teams that have a great tight end or a very good tight end. George Kittle for the 49ers, they were in the Super Bowl, and he was like their number 1 pass catcher last year. If you think about the Patriots, for many years they had Rob Gronkowski, and you see how much Brady struggled last year without having Rob Gronkowski, having that guy in the middle of the field that can make contested catches and that is able to move the chains on 3rd down. So Brady really had to rely on his running backs to catch the ball out of the backfield because he didn't have a reliable tight end last year. So I really think that Austin Hooper and tight ends sometimes can be taken for granted. And I just feel like with this Falcons team, Austin Hooper plays a bigger role than we realize. And I do think that he's worth the money as much as I don't think we should try to break the bank. I just feel like Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, they're not going to play forever. and they're in their prime, but they're starting to get up there in age. They're both now in their 30s, and we don't want to take for granted that, Matt Ryan, who knows how many seasons him and Julio Jones have left. And I feel like it's time to go ahead and, re-sign Austin Hooper, bring him back into the fold. And what I would do is just go heavy on the defensive end as far as in the draft. We may not be able to sign one of the big key free agents. I did make a video yesterday about us signing Robert Quinn. I do think that he's one of the veteran type defensive ends that we still may be able to sign, even if we re-sign Austin Hooper. If we go ahead and make some cuts, we'll be, we may be able to bring in a veteran defensive end like a Robert Quinn. With that being said, another thing that I want you guys to think about when watching this video is think about the other tight ends that we had on the roster, and how Matt Ryan really didn't have any chemistry with them, and how early in the season he was throwing interceptions. He had, I think, 2 or 3 interceptions early in the season when he was trying to throw the ball to the backup tight end, Luke Stocker. Luke Stocker and him didn't have any type of chemistry. I don't know if Luke Stocker was running the wrong routes, or whether Matt Ryan was just overthrowing him, or what the case may be, I don't know what the miscommunication was. But that just goes to show you, when you don't have that chemistry with a player, it could really cause a lot of trouble. It could really cause turnovers and things of that nature. So I do believe that Austin Hooper, it's important that we bring him back. Like I said before, he's one of those players that runs those option routes and runs those button hook routes, those curl routes. He also can take it downfield up the seam. Austin Hooper is a lot more athletic than I think a lot of people think. And I just think that I would bring Austin Hooper back to let him mentor Jaden Graham and allow him to continue to develop, because I don't really believe that Jaden Graham is ready to step in as the full-time starter and take Austin Hooper's spot. If Jaden Graham had been on our team for at least 2 to 3 years, and then Austin Hooper was a free agent, then I would be kind of more comfortable with, thrusting Jaden Graham into that starting role. But I'm just not comfortable with thrusting Jaden Graham at this point into the starting role yet, with him just being a rookie last year and him not playing a ton. And I really think that it's very imperative that the Falcons bring back Austin Hooper now that we've lost Mohamed Sanu. Because to me, Mohamed Sanu kind of played the role of a tight end, because he had a bigger body. He's a tall, bigger player, kind of built a little bit like a tight end, had sure hands, did a good job of catching the ball away from his body like I talked about. And the player that kind of filled in the Mohamed Sanu role when he left was Russell Gage. And to me, Russell Gage also did a good job of playing in the slot and picking up third downs. But one thing that I noticed about Russell Gage is he battles, he has a lot of injuries. He's not the biggest guy coming across the middle. When he takes hits and stuff like that, he gets nicked up. So I think that we should definitely bring back Austin Hooper if we can. I believe that the team is going to do everything they can to bring back Austin Hooper, even if that means franchise tagging him until they can, get a deal done. I really think, like I said, at this point, the Falcons have to figure out what their identity is. I felt like last year the Falcons really didn't have an identity, and I kind of just gave the Falcons an identity last year, even though the team never embraced it. I really feel like this Atlanta Falcons team and our Atlanta Falcons franchise is an offensive-minded team, an offensive juggernaut. I don't really believe that we're a defensive-minded team. I really think that we're going to have to be a bend-don't-break defense where we're going to give up some yards, but if we're able to get turnovers and, if we're able to get off the field on third downs, then I think that we still could win a Super Bowl. If you look at a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a ton of their money on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have a ton of money wrapped up on the defensive side of the ball. The only player they actually brung in last year in free agency was the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. But pretty much everybody else on that team, Sammy Watkins, Cheetah Hill, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and the list goes on and on of all the weapons that they have on the offensive side of the ball. And I felt like our Atlanta Falcons team is kind of built in the same way, we're kind of built like the Kansas City Chiefs, where we're going to have to be an offensive-minded team. We're going to have to just agree to be that offensive-minded team, embrace that we're an offensive-minded team. I believe we still can build the defense through the draft, and I would strictly draft defensive players mainly in the draft, other than drafting left guard or right guard, whichever position I think we were missing. I think it's a left guard. We need a left guard still, so that's the only piece that I really would be concerned about is for offense in the draft would be the left guard position. But other than that, I would go strictly defense. I would draft heavy for defensive line. I would draft a linebacker, and I would draft possibly a corner and possibly a safety. But that possibly will be like in the later rounds. Early in the draft, I would go strictly defensive line, and maybe in like the second or third round, I would go offensive line. But other than that, I wouldn't go in there drafting any skill position players. Like, we don't need any receivers. We really don't necessarily need a running back because we do have Quadri Olson we drafted last year. We could always re-sign Brian Hill, and we still actually got Devontae Freeman on the team. Now, whether he's still here after free agency opens or as of the 2020 season, we'll wait and see. But I really think that Austin Hooper, like I said, plays a huge role for this team. I feel like this Atlanta Falcons team should try to get back to what we did in 2016 when we were a high-power offense. Believe it or not, in 2016, our defense was rated, like I believe, in the 20s overall. But the defense got key turnovers. And I feel like that's the same thing with this year coming up in 2020. You don't have to have a lockdown defense. As long as you have a defense that can create turnovers and they can get off the field in key moments, kind of how the Kansas City Chiefs did against the 49ers in the Super Bowl, where, they weren't really stopping the 49ers all game. It wasn't until late in the game when they really needed to stop to get the ball back for the Chiefs offense that Chris Jones batted the ball down, and they were able to get off the field on that third down, that key crucial third down. So I feel like the same thing with our Atlanta Falcons. If we can go back to being that high-powered, high-flying offense we were in 2016, get back to being a top 5 offense, and get back to being balanced on offense with running and passing the ball, I really think that we could get back to the Super Bowl and be Super Bowl contenders. Now, another reason I feel like it's important that we bring back Austin Hooper is everyone knows that Dirk Cutter loves to throw the ball and pass the ball. So we have to have somebody over the middle of the field that's reliable and that can catch the ball and that knows how to read coverages. Because that's another thing about when you're plugging in a younger player like a Jaden Graham, or if we go and sign someone, it's not easy for tight ends, or all tight ends don't know how to read defenses. And I really believe that Austin Hooper is a very cerebral and smart player, that he knows how to read defenses, and that's how he knows when he needs to sit down in the zone, when he needs to run across all the way across the field and not stop his route. He knows how to read defenses. And him and Matt Ryan most of the time are on one accord or on the same, have the same mindset. They know, what each other are doing. They know how to read each other's body language. And I feel like that takes years of chemistry to develop that. So I don't want to see our offense take a step back. And I feel like if we lost Austin Hooper, the offense could really take a step back. And I believe that we need to continue to build on what we did last year. Dirk Cutter needs to continue to build and learn how to use all of the pieces on this offense. But I really believe that our offense is one of the most talented offenses personnel-wise in the league. And if we lose Austin Hooper, that would be a big hit to our team. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Austin Hooper is like the second most targeted player other than Julio Jones. At least last year he was. So I believe Matt Ryan targets Austin Hooper more than he targets someone like a Calvin Ridley. I believe Austin Hooper had the second most receptions on the team last year. So it's very important that they bring back Austin Hooper. One more quick thing that I wanted to talk about. Another reason I think that it'll be, very important to bring Hooper back is Matt Ryan is not the most mobile quarterback. And when he gets in trouble, when pressure gets on him, he's able to use Austin Hooper as someone he can dump the ball off to really quick and pick up a couple yards. So Austin Hooper really helped Matt Ryan prevented Matt Ryan from taking more sacks than he possibly could have taken with him being the underneath route, being on those underneath routes, being there to catch the dump off pass and try to take it down the field and gain positive yardage. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you feel about Austin Hooper. Like I said, I hope the Falcons bring him back. I believe Thomas Dimitroff and Arthur Blank are going to do everything they can to bring Austin Hooper back in the fold. I don't believe any team should let a Pro Bowler walk unless they have to. And, we are kind of strapped for cash, but I believe they know how to finagle the thing, finagle the salary cap, where they're going to find a way to get Austin Hooper up under that salary cap where we will be able to bring him back and make him happy, just like we did for Grady Jarrett, just like we did for Julio Jones, and just like we did for Matt Ryan, where we were able to re-sign those guys. So I do think that Austin Hooper getting the funds or getting repaid, getting re-signed is well deserved. Like I said, he's been in the last 2 Pro Bowls. He has done nothing but ball since he's been with the Atlanta Falcons and improve every single season. And I just feel like we developed this player, so we need to go ahead and sign him. I hate to see a player that we developed and that we brought into the league go prosper for someone else. So I really think we should go ahead and pay the guy his money. Like I said, he's been nothing but good to the Atlanta Falcons organization, and I think that it's time to go ahead and get him paid. So with that being said, you guys like, share, subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done content. This been your boy Jew. Definitely let me know what you guys feel about the video. I'll holler at you guys a little bit later on in the week. I'm out. As always, rise up and peace.